Ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America and everywhere else that you might be listening or watching this, you might be asking yourself, Micah, are you guys going to cover the crazy event that happened over the weekend before you started recording this podcast? No, we're not a politics podcast. But, well, we do have other issues of life and death to talk about. In fact, there's a lot of dead people this week. And a lot of dead brain cells because some motherfuckers can't read English. So needless to say, this is going to be a very interesting show. And I'm going to complain about how much my fucking back hurts.
Ugh.
Welcome to On the Grind.
Oh, terrible situation.
Okay, so before we go into the weekly review, what I want to tell everybody in the audience about, I have a slip disc in my back.
Mm-hmm.
It took a shocking amount of effort for me to get my big ass from my bedroom into the shower, and then to get dressed, and then into my fucking office chair to record this podcast. Such things should not be difficult. But when you have a slipped disc in your lower back, of all places, movement is very difficult, to say the least. So, I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen to you before. But,
I've had one. Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. So...
No, not yet.
I've never slipped a disc, but I've messed muscles up enough to feel like shit in my back. So
let me put it this way. Because I've also had I've had a pinched nerve in my upper back before. That smarts. And I've had like pulled muscles in my back and stuff like that before. It comes with powerlifting, right? A slipped disc is the worst, and the reason why, you can't move like a normal person. You can't sit like a normal person. You can't pick things up like a normal person. And it's one of those things like, imagine you're playing a video game and a status effect comes along that you can't sprint, you can hobble, you can't, like, you can only do certain actions, and the actions that you can do seem like they're completely random. Like, if I want to pick something up off the ground, I can't bend over at the waist to get it. At all. I have no moment. I have no anything there. I can't walk normally. I have to hobble around like a fucking pirate.
Oof.
Yeah, I feel like getting from one place to another in my apartment that the Pirates of the Caribbean fucking soundtrack should be playing in the background, and I should be going, yar. You best start believing in back pain stories. You're in one. Like, Jesus Christ.
Do you have termites in your peg leg?
No. But I apparently have them in my spinal column. But, not only that, like, if I want to pick something up off the ground, I can't bend over at the waist, right? I have to do, I shit you not, a sumo squat to pick it up. It is the goofiest shit ever. Because it's not just a normal squat, a sumo squat. So I gotta spread my legs out like I'm fucking I keep wanting to say Yoshimitsu, Yokozuna. You know, and it's like, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing this? To get out of bed, I can't sit up out of bed. I have to roll on my stomach and slide out feet first, and then stand on one leg, and then balance myself in a way so that my spine stops screaming at me.
Woof.
It is the dumbest shit. And I'm hoping that I recover pretty quickly. The last time this happened to me, I was 29, because it's an aggravation of an old injury. And I would like to have a more stable source of income before I have to consider like any sort of surgery, because effectively speaking, because this is an old injury aggravating again, and it literally slipped in my sleep. I know my doctor's probably going to recommend spinal fusion. I really don't want to have spinal fusion in my lower back if I can avoid it. But if I have to have it, that's like 6 months recovery time. So I'd like to have some money saved up.
Mm.
But regardless, so the reason I bring this up to you folks who are listening and watching is if I randomly yelp in pain and I don't edit it out, or you hear me grumbling, or if I'm especially grouchy today, I apologize in advance. Because this fucking hurts. I mean, I'm sitting like I'm doing a fucking Ninja Turtles pose right now. Like, it's just for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, though, the ibuprofen that I'm taking is a big help. Because it like the inflammation back there isn't nearly as bad. I can actually sit. I can fidget a little bit if I need to. I just have to be careful. So, but yeah, just a bit of a fair warning, and just I felt the need to gripe.
Anti-inflammatories.
Yes.
I'm not allowed to do those anymore.
So let's get kick this off, because I'm really interested in our review of the week. Mike is taking the lead this time.
Oh, yes.
I'm excited to hear about this, because I will let you say where I'd like you to start. Tell people the history of Static X, because I felt like back during the 2000s, this is one of those bands that a lot of people really enjoyed, but I don't feel like they were appreciated enough for how different they were than a lot of like the new metal stuff that was coming out at the time. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Okay, so with Static X, they had such a different, absurdly different sound compared to everybody else. So you had, at the time, you had Korn, you had Limp Bizkit, you had who else? Disturbed, I said, Papa Roach. You had all these bands that were basically trying to do a little bit of rap, a little bit of metal, and then they created new metal. And then you had like Linkin Park doing their more emotional rap metal stuff. And then you had Static X, who had this industrial sound, this guttural, weird noise that they would make. It's like this repetitive, like it became such a. It was a bizarre change from everyone else, where you had Korn's like they had his own personal like emotional traumas being put forth. Papa Roach having issues with being. I'm not entirely sure what his problems were.
I think it was suicidal at points. Yeah.
Yes, he was suicidal and being in California.
Not that there's much of a difference.
Then it was Limp Bizkit leading the way with their, just being with the ennui that was setting in because of, it was conservative presidency coming about. But going back to Static X, is that they had such a bizarre sound compared to every other band on that was alternative at the time. And that sort of became in the background at my choices of music at the time. It should be telling that I had a 256 megabyte MP3 player at the time, which was filled with half of their songs. You can only fit like 15 songs on that thing before it filled up.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 of them were all Static X. Static X is kind of where my core fell. That's the music I listen to when I want to get shit done. When I just sit down, I just want to listen to something repetitive over and over again, even if it's just like with Wayne Static in the background screaming about something. That's kind of just where my soul goes, and so they released a number of albums. So they released Scott's Death Trip in what was it, 94?
Yeah. Let me pull up their discography, but
Yeah.
It was Wisconsin Death Trip. I want to say came out when I was in high school.
Yeah, 1999.
Yeah, so yeah, that would be around 99, 2000.
And that was such a trip. It was an accurately named fucking album. It's set the standard for what a Static X album should be. Which was kind of then followed with Machine. And in my personal opinion, it kind of went down. I mean, it was good. And it had my favorite, one of the Otsigos, which was Otsigo Undead.
Oh, that's a great one.
But then this album was followed by Shadow Zone, which is where most of my favorite songs came from, like Shadow Zone itself, and The Only, and Invincible from that. Oh, and Destroy All. Those were all on my little MP3 player that I held. That thing cost me like $80 in like 90s money. That was... Oh god, that was so long ago. Anyway. So then you had Start a War, where they kind of went down a little bit, but still pretty good. Cannibal, which was alright.
Yeah.
And then Cult of Static, something was wrong. I later learned out that they started like sobering up a couple of the members, except for Wayne Static himself. And yeah, who else died? Goodness, somebody died here, if I remember correctly.
Well, they had so Trip Ison came. He replaced. I don't remember. Oh, no, I don't know if he replaced Koichi Fukuda. I think he did for a time. And Trip Ison like got busted for like some sexual crime. Yeah.
Yes, he diddled a
Keiichi,
fan.
Yeah, and then Keiichi came back for a while.
Yeah, Keiichi was trying to like have a family at that point, and everyone else was trying to not do drugs except for Wayne himself.
Yeah, because Tony got clean, Ken got clean, Koichi got clean. You know, Koichi's been clean forever.
Mm-hmm. And it came to there was apparently like a drug bust that happened.
Yeah.
Which caused the band to just split up. And so they had this big hiatus, and they all claimed that they weren't like breaking up; it's just going on solo projects. And during the solo time, so about 7 years, I think. Wayne was more or less recording a shit ton of solo stuff, an absolute absurd amount, and he releases Pig Hammer, which is all right. It just sounded like Static X without anything else. It was a little bizarre. It wasn't the greatest, but it was listenable. And then around 2014, let me see. Yeah, 2014 he dies. And they claim that it wasn't suicide, but he drank a lot of alcohol and took some prescription drugs, and then but the coroner claims that the death is natural. So I don't buy that one bit.
It might have been something where he, like, past history with drugs had caused something to happen. Sort of like when Eddie Guerrero died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like what he like the drinking didn't help. You know.
Yeah, just definitely didn't help. And so you had all these people like mourning him, and then in the background, there was a producer who found all of Wayne Static's like solo recordings. He's going through them, and he goes to the other member. He's like, "Hey, why don't you just record a new album with all of his indie stuff? We'll get the wife's permission, and we'll just get this up." And they got kind of mad at him originally, if I remember correctly, because, well, give us some time to mourn.
Yeah. Which
led to 2018. So that's where they finally like, okay, we had enough time to mourn. That's been about 4 or 5 years since he died. Yeah. And then they announced the album with but then the fucking coof happens. Ugh. That sort of slowed things down a little bit, but not too badly. So Then they, with the help of Zero, who is actually Edsel Dope from Dope, starts. They released their first project, Regeneration Volume 1. And it's bizarre, because it's almost as good as Shadow Zone, in my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, like, which one did I like the most on Regeneration Volume 1? My Destruction from there, and Terminator Oscillator are my favorites there. And it turns out that yeah, he had so much shit back, like recorded, just that they had enough, that they had like a couple extra like Otsego songs, and it's a weird. Okay, so I should mention why this. Oh my god! What? My tongue is all tied up. Wayne Static really loved this one town in Michigan called Otsego, because when he went to university, he had a fake ID that marked him as Dean from Otsego, that he used to go and like get booze for his buds. So he's always constantly. There's always been at least one Otsego song for every album, and there's at least in Volume 1 and Volume 2 of this, there is actually 2 Otsego songs, and it's like, yeah, this Regeneration Volume 1 is about as good as Shadow Zone. I like it. And then Volume 2 came out, and it's very clear that they were running out of the good stuff.
Aww.
But it's still decent. I would put it somewhere at. It kind of feels like Machine, and they did have a Nine Inch Nails cover on there.
Really?
They did. It turns out Wayne covered "Terrible Lie." They, like, 12 years ago, and the tapes were damaged though, but the producer was able to make it sound like in their style, which they always called evil disco, and it's pretty good. It's actually a really decent track all around. But as it stands, those two are actually pretty good, and I'm kind of curious how Edsel Dope, or Zero as is he preferring to call himself for this project, is gonna handle doing the vocals from now on, because that's how what their plan is to go on. That's their plan going forward from now, is to have Edsel do the vocalist, because he does a couple of the lyrics and vocals in the second track, which maybe leads to why it's a little weaker, but it's still good. I suggest listening to both of them. They're really good. The first one a lot more than the second, and overall, I recommend listening to them. They're available literally everywhere now.
I'm going to put this on my Spotify list right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I love Static X too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, I have an appreciation for Zero just because Wayne is a very hard guy to follow.
Oh my goodness, what a fucking act to follow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I agree. Thank you.
Jesus. The thing about Wayne Static, I was such a big fan of Static X back in the day that it's hard to believe now that I'm basically bald, right? But when I was a kid, I actually grew my hair not quite that long, but close. I used to have long ass spiked hair because I thought that Wayne Static was the coolest dude. I just couldn't because I was so young, I couldn't get my beard to grow down to that length. I was trying. God bless me for. I gave it a shot, people. Don't hold it against me. I promise you, I gave it a shot. But you know, like I was such a fan. I still love playing their songs on bass. Black and White and I'm With Stupid are still my favorites, especially. Mm-hmm. But speaking as somebody who is a musician, speaking as somebody who can sing, and although I'm not that great at it, but I can do death metal style vocals. Wayne was one of those guys that he was doing death metal style vocal affectation, I guess would call it, because it's not like growling, it's not like or something like that. Yeah, but it's close. It's close enough. Yeah, it's like he's a loser. Like it comes from a similar spot in your diaphragm.
And then he would just screech it out like for the next part. It's
there's something very special about this band. So if you're listening to this, like I will echo Mike, especially if you have never listened to the album Wisconsin Death Trip. If you like industrial metal or if you like thrash, like it's very worth listening to, because like Push It is their biggest song ever and it's incredible. And then I still like, I feel like I kind of disagree a little bit with Machine. I do feel like Machine gets weaker as it goes on. I feel like it has the strongest opening though. Because Bienvenidos into Get to the Gone. Oh, that's a hook. But awesome band. So yeah, I will definitely be listening to this. And it's funny you had mentioned that Cult of Static just sounded off. I got a story for you. So my best friend Josh and Josh is the guy who got me into heavy metal. So for those of you who credit my ridiculous amount of knowledge about heavy metal, Josh is the reason. So if he ever appears on a live stream with me or something like that, say thank you, Josh. But Josh is my best friend. He's the guy who got me into Static X, and he and I were listening to when Cult of Static came out, because that came out in like what, 2008? Yeah, it was because this was after I had a split up with my then wife. So Josh would always come over to come and cheer me up because he's my best friend. He's awesome at being a best friend. He came over and we just went driving one time just to talk and shit. And he popped the album and he's like, "Have you heard this yet?" I'm like, "Nah, I didn't even know that Static X had a new album." And we're listening to it, and I remember the first song being pretty good because Dave Mustaine was on it. And I'm like, okay, I love Megadeth. I can get behind this. And then the rest of it was just kind of not there.
Yeah, so it felt like they were just going through the motions.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But yeah, it's definitely a band for those of you out there who check these guys out. Their bassist, and for those of you who are fans of the video game Doom Eternal, Tony Campos, their bassist, he is part of the death metal choir in the boss fight in the arena in Doom Eternal. So, something to keep in mind. It's an awesome band. They deserve all the credit in the world. Rest in peace to Wayne. One of my bigger musical inspirations. I really wish he had gotten his drug issues under control, but some people, man, they can't get over that hump for some reason. That's why it's better never to do them in the first place, in my opinion. If only people named Nick would listen to that. But enough about that. Topic number 1. So we're bumping up stupidity on the internet this week, but it's also included with a video game.
Nice.
So, I can't make fun of Xavier because Xavier's not here this week. I was gonna say,
No. You can always make fun of it. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know 4 out of the 5 of us know English pretty well, and then we would all just stare at Xavier. But so there was some stupid that happened. There's a new game.
I just noticed when you changed his nameplate.
Yes. I did that to all of us.
Oh, no.
I think Xavier's is probably the most accurate out of all of us. I guess I do qualify as like a Wish.com Wilson Fisk at this point. But
Other General Wilson Fisk.
yeah. I'm not as tall, so
Yeah.
which is really weird to think of because I'm a pretty tall dude. But anyway, I actually have a story in regards to that some people might find this funny. I don't know if I've told you guys this. I come from a family of mutants.
Uh-oh.
Not in like a Hills Have Eyes kind of way. Of my mother's father, my grandpa Rutledge. All of his grandkids, of all the grandkids, I'm the shortest. Take that in for a second.
Mm.
Most of my cousins, including my youngest cousin, are all 6'4" or taller.
Well, they're all giants.
Yeah, I come from we're all mutants. It's freaking crazy. I am the one with the broadest shoulders, though. That's the funny thing. Like, I have a wingspan as long as my cousin Josh, who is 6'8".
Damn.
Yeah. So we some big. You can imagine how much food has to get prepared at Thanksgiving.
It's like my on my dad's side of the family. It's so funny because it's kind of like a reverse of what you said. Apparently my great grandfather was 7 feet tall on my dad's father's side. Grandpa was like 6'5", 6'6", probably 6'5". Daddy was 6'5". His brother was 5'4". His other brother was 5'4". His sister was 5 foot. Granny was 4'11". And
Yeah.
so it was like really weird that it's like everybody like the gene only passed on to one in that family.
Yeah. But I just felt like mentioning that because it's just something that is always wild to me. Because I tower over my parents because I'm adopted, right? But like you look at my my extended family, I fit right in because I'm still a big dude. I'm just not as big as everybody else.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I had a similar thing with my family. Like my mom was 6'2", dad 6'5". I ended up about 6'2", so I fell right in between. Being adopted, it was like a lick wasn't missed, pretty much, except for the red hair. That kind of threw people off. But
I'm
a robot. I'm sorry. Right, I'm a robot.
Yes.
I'm not a human. I'm not a real human boy with human feelings.
But so a game just came out, which I'm gonna give it a shot at some point. It's called Once Human. I will freely admit I kind of have a soft spot for survival games, especially if they are co-op oriented. Like one of my favorite games that came out of the last few years is Sons of the Forest. So Once Human, it's a free-to-play game. It's a live service game, and the internet freaked out over its terms of service. So since we understand English, if I say that I am receiving something from someone, what does that entail?
That means you're getting it from somebody.
Yeah.
Willingly, especially.
Yeah. You will receive this. Yeah.
So there is a part of the terms of service that people freaked out about for this game. They said, name and contact details. I'll tell you what the section is after this. Name and contact details, such as first and last name, title, prefix, email address, telephone number, instant messaging account, postal address, date of birth, age, gender, country, region, and government-issued ID, such as passport information, as required by applicable laws for age verification and correction of personal information. The section that this is under is personal information we receive from you. People didn't read that part. And people freaked out about it because it said government-issued ID. Now here's the thing. If you're from the United States, and you log into this video game, guess what it doesn't do? It doesn't ask you for your ID.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It'll ask you you have to create an account, because it's a live service game, so they're going to require some sort of an account. Or you're going to get your login details from Steam. They're going to have access to that information because the instant you download the game, you gave that information. Because they received it from you. This is standard shit. The reason the government issued ID, thank God, shout outs to Thor from Pirate Software. He's a former Blizzard developer, who has now become probably like one of the most popular guys on the Shorts feed in regards to video gaming content.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that I'm liking more and more about people, is like we're seeing more sensible human beings coming in as content creators and telling people to calm the fuck down. He pointed out that this is actually standard stuff that just about every video game is going to have, except for the reason they bring up the government issued ID is because there are a couple of countries that actually do require you to have your ID on file because they actually have laws about how much time you can play video games.
China, South Korea requires you to have your SIN attached in case you harass a woman.
Yeah. So, for those of you who freaked out about this, what the fuck? Why you know read? Why you know read?
Me am read good.
Yeah.
I spelled good G-U-D, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Me read terms of service. Like, come on. Like, come on, man. This is one of the things that I think that is one of the wildest parts about the internet. A lot of people seem to have thought that, like, when the internet gained in popularity, that our access to information was going to be that much better, and we were all going to become smarter because of it.
Yeah. No. But guess what? When people are stupid, access to other things just makes them stupid in other things.
Basically,
Yeah.
Because and this is one thing that a lot of people don't understand about intelligence. Intelligence isn't so much your ability to take in information. It's how you process it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're unable to understand the context of a statement of, we receive from you, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, I hate to be that blunt. No, I don't. But the fact of the matter is that, you're not thinking. God gave you a brain. If God didn't want you to have a brain, he'd have put a potato in there. Okay? Though apparently some people, he did put potatoes in there. But,
terrible.
Yes.
They're not even baked potatoes. Best part.
I know, right? Can't even mash them up. It's just bleh. But regardless, like, folks, this is the reason, and I say this as somebody who, is an artist, and I there are elements of the plight of the artist that always bug the fuck out of me. Is when misinformation, and I know that's a kind of a crooked term these days, but so let's change it to just wrong information and stupid opinions that are completely uninformed get out there. The damage that it can do to people's lives and their livelihoods. And I understand, like, the people think that, it's not that big. To the people that work for this company, it does matter. So when you've got, like, content creators going out there and making these videos where they're not reading shit, and they are effectively slandering a game that, in my opinion, looks interesting, because it's got a lot of Lovecraft influence and shit like that. You kind of fuck people over in the long run. And I'm hoping that, at least in the future, like, we start getting more sensible people that talk about this sort of shit. And for those of you that are sensible people that do talk about this sort of shit, I personally have a great appreciation for you, because there might be a day where you know, one of the comics that I write gets slandered by somebody, and then there's gonna be a necessity for sensible people to come in and say, dude, you're lying about this guy, stop lying about this guy, this is what's actually going on, stop being a moron. We need people like that on the internet. We really do. Because I'm of the opinion that stupidity has reigned on the internet space for far too fucking long, and it needs to stop. So.
The problem is there's too many. It's kind of like you said. Access does not necessarily mean, intelligence. And too many people they either shut off the critical thinking part of their brain, or they never had one to begin with. And that's that's gonna be a long running theme. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that now more people start, to get online, like you talked about, the gentleman you talked about earlier, who, will look at things reasonably and not just like knee jerk reaction. They see, some people see something in a teal, it's like, like, and they start, they return to monkey, like,
Oh, man. Well, folks, before we continue on to our next topic, just as a quick reminder of the things that we have available for purchase with Grindstone Arts. The big one for us right now, the Second Chance campaign for Inglewood, we are a ways away from the goal that we had on it. It's a humble goal of $1,000. So what I'm going to just take a second to say is just speak frankly about the campaign. Hatman and I have to fund the fulfillment of this out of pocket, because we had a theft that happened, and law enforcement is taking their sweet ass fucking time helping us, if we get any help at all. We are at a point where we're having to try to get in touch with people at the FBI to get them to look into this, to just contact one of the banks that was involved in these transfers to maybe get our money back. And the especially unfortunate thing about this is that, from what I have read online, these cases rarely get solved, and people rarely see a return, because the fact is that the government is so far behind in their ability to handle cases like this, that for situations like me and Hatman, where we are in deep trouble and we may never see a return on our money. So everything that we had gotten up to this point, we have to handle out of pocket, which with American Monsters, that's not that hard. It's actually not going to take that much to fulfill that campaign. Inglewood is a little more difficult, because it's about a couple $1,000s in printing costs and a few $1,000s in shipping. We have ways of getting that money, but the fact that we have to pay out of pocket sucks. But that's why we opened up this campaign, is more orders will make that, it will alleviate that pressure on us. It's not a substitution. I'm not expecting people who already backed this book to back it again, and nor would I ever ask anyone. What I would ask is, if you know somebody that would like a story like this, if you've read the first book and you backed the second one already and you're eagerly anticipating it, or maybe you're one of the people that got this digitally and you've already gotten your copy and you really liked it, please share this campaign with people. Let them know what's out there, that it's good, that it's enjoyable, what kind of a story it is, so on and so forth. And if you help out with word of mouth, you obviously help me and Hatman a great deal, because word of mouth is what has made every project that the sum of us here have had successful so far. So we need that from you guys to help us get to this finish line. You're going to get, for those of you who've already backed this comic book, you're going to get your book regardless. But if you help us with this, it makes it a lot easier and a lot less stressful. And considering my back's already fucked, I'm stressed out enough as it is. So, but in all seriousness, any little bit helps, to say the least. So, I just felt like getting that off my chest. It's like, because I really feel that most other people would have quit. I've had people flat out say to me that it's stupid that I haven't quit yet. But I'm not going to quit, because it's not about me. It's about the customers. It's about the readers, and getting them what they want. So, all right. And then, of course, the other stuff that's out there, American Monsters, my novella, the prequel to a comic book we're going to be doing in the future called Project Lazarus. Serena's book, Black Rhapsody, is also still available. That is in its last phase of fulfillment, so now's the time to get on that if you haven't already. And then finally, Three Nights... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we're almost done. The standees came in to CB, and we'll be fulfilling them soon.
And then 3 Nights, 4 Days Part 2 is one of those that, like, I've got to pay for the whole full production of that out of pocket. But again, it's one to let people know, if they haven't gone into it yet, they're going to have plenty of time to get their orders in, and every order helps. Because it takes a burden off of me. So, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to topic number 2. We're going to talk about an MCU trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the MCU is in a weird spot. Because I feel like they have had dud after dud after dud.
No bangers here.
Yeah, for years.
Ever since Infinity War. I mean, yeah. Infinity War and Endgame.
Let me look at the
Of course, I'm talking about purely from not probably by monetary performance per se, but
because, like, what they have here, let's start from before this. The Marvels, which flopped. Guardians 3 was successful, and apparently was pretty good. Quantumania flopped.
Yep.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, there's a reason nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Love and Thunder was apparently really weak.
Very weak.
I've heard mixed things about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Hamman enjoyed it. I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was because it gave us a good tease of what could be, But then, now with different casting and things like that, you're not going to get that anymore. So, whatever.
Spider-Man No Way Home was a huge success and was good.
Well, it was really good.
I really liked that movie.
I really liked that one. Yeah.
Unfortunately, before that was Eternals.
No reason to pick the movie. There's no reason.
So bad. The only good thing about it is that Jon Snow is the Black Knight. That's it.
I think they got too caught up in we did. Guardians of the Galaxy was successful and nobody knew about that. We can do that with anything. No, you can't.
No, you cannot. Especially with Chloe Zhao as your fucking director.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
It just kind of ruined the whole Ten Rings thing. GG.
Yeah. Black Widow was apparently terrible.
Well, the big thing is that particular one. You're making a movie about a character that's already dead.
Basically, you kind of took all the wind out of the sails.
Yeah. If you made that movie and it debuted before Endgame, then you might have got something out of it. But yeah,
why wasn't Black Widow's movie the first before? Why didn't we get a Black Widow movie first? But instead we got a Captain Marvel movie.
They were really trying to push Captain, which it should have been Miss, but Captain Marvel. You get it out there. There's a reason why they sandwiched it between Infinity War and Endgame, because they wanted people to try. They basically tricked people into going and seeing it.
Basically.
Because honestly, it was not a good film.
No, it was not.
Brie Larson has the acting ability of a plank, and that is kind of an insult to planks.
It was
not likable.
Well, it was at that point in time where it felt like Hollywood had chosen her as the next big star.
Yeah.
And it just fell flat.
Right. And then she's because at first I thought it was just stuff that Brie Larson was saying. Then I found out like they were in movies like her saying stuff like she's stronger than Thor, she's stronger than the Hulk, and stuff like that. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
So
What do you think? One of my favorite recent comic book panels is like the Hulk just lounging while she's trying to fight him, and he says, "Is that the best you got?" And he finally punches her, and she just goes flying into the stratosphere. I'm like, "Yep, that's about right."
Yeah. Because the thing is that, and it gets even weirder to me because, like, the MCU film everybody's talking about that's coming up features two characters that are making their MCU debut in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
That's the one everybody's talking about. The unfortunate part about it to me is that the Sabretooth that they brought back is not Lev Schreiber.
Yeah, Tyler Mane. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tyler Mane, don't get me wrong, but like Lev Schreiber as Sabretooth was fucking terrifying.
He was. And where's his fangs? You notice that? Like,
yeah.
Why does this have his fangs?
That movie is going to be very successful.
Speaking of Brie Larson, apparently originally they wanted Captain Marvel in that movie, and Ryan Reynolds said no.
That's funny. Yeah, I've heard she's very difficult to work with. So
yeah, he was like, no, that's not happening.
but it's really weird. Yeah, let's talk about what Captain America. So for those who are playing the home game and don't know, Captain America: Brave New World is going to be the fourth Captain America film. It is the first one featuring the Falcon, Sam Wilson, as Captain America, because at the end of Endgame he gives the shield to Sam. And there was a television series they had called Falcon and the Winter Soldier that kind of is supposed to be setting up to this, sort of.
Bridget.
Yeah, it was basically that, though that wasn't really necessarily it. It more sets up for the future, which is going to be Thunderbolts. Because Winter Soldier is in that, Ghost, and then the big character they introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier was U.S. Agent John Walker, which they casted very well with Wyatt Russell.
Yes.
Apparently he stole the show.
So I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with the Thunderbolts is that none of the Thunderbolts are actual Thunderbolts. None of them. Winter Soldier wasn't an original Thunderbolt. Neither was Ghost. Neither was U.S. Agent. None
of them were. None of the ones they set up for that or in the original.
Like Red Guardian. What the fuck? What are you doing? So that's gonna suck.
Yeah. Be good.
And what also spoils it? It's kind of spoils the fact that, or what's going to happen in Brave New World is that Harrison Ford is in Thunderbolts too. So for those who don't know, Brave New World also features Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. Because who was it who played him? John Hurt? No, it wasn't John Hurt. Why am I forgetting his name?
I'll look it up.
William Hurt.
William Hurt, the other Hurt. Yeah.
John Hurt was the guy in Alien, but William Hurt, who had passed away, he was previously Thunderbolt Ross. Was amazing as Thunderbolt Ross.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
But Harrison Ford's not a bad pick either. But in this particular case, Thunderbolt Ross is the president of the United States, which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Although I will say I give him credit for that little line in the trailer where he says, his aides told him to shave the mustache.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Okay. Explain why he doesn't have the mustache. I was like, okay, that's okay. I'll give you that.
But the only thing that they've given us so far is that Thunderbolt Ross wants to fold the role of Captain America into the government, which of course Falcon is going to be opposed to, because he and Steve, if everybody remembers Civil War, he and Steve were opposed to the idea of the Avengers being a government entity. So naturally speaking, even though he and Steve are you know, enlisted. You know, because I think Sam is a lieutenant.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't remember. It was something like that. But the I think it's Lieutenant Sam Wilson. But the gimmick with this particular scenario is that like the role of Captain America, the superhero Captain America, is not part of the government. He is a vigilante. And in this particular case, the advantage of that is that he's not tied to a nation and any sort of, you know, if America can't go into Iraq, he could go into Iraq because technically speaking, he operates independently. Just as an example. But we've got so he's still playing Captain America. There's a new Falcon, which they're using the all new, all different Falcon.
Yeah.
Which just
yeah. Which, by the way, was spoiled by the by a McDonald's kids meal like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember I was at a friend's house and like, you know, their kiddies were getting their you know, they got their Happy Meals, and they all of a sudden there was, you know, like the older kid who's like 18, but he's a big Marvel fan, right? Or was, at least. He goes like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Oh, that's the new Falcon." He's like, "Wait, they spoiled the new Falcon in a kid's meal that doesn't come out until, and the movie doesn't come out until next year."
Yeah.
I think that was a situation where the movie was supposed to come out earlier, and McDonald's don't give a shit. They're going to run their promotions. You know, they're going to like, I don't care. Toys are made. We're selling toys. You know, like,
yeah.
So.
This is the one that pisses me off, and it's gonna make sense as to why it pisses me off whenever I start talking about it. So Sabra is in this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So for those who don't know, Sabra is an Israeli superhero. She's a mutant. And she she's a native-born Israeli Jew. And they are apparently like either erasing that or trying to mention it as little as possible because we can't offend people with certain political sensibilities, I guess. How dare you be a Jew? Because she's a Mossad agent in Marvel.
Oh, you can't have that.
No, they made her a former Black Widow.
Oh God, here we go.
So you turned her into a communist assassin? You fucking assholes!
Because we all know that the Israeli government is big on that communism.
Oh my God! But yeah, but this sentence makes no sense. An Israeli former Black Widow, that wouldn't happen, and high-ranking U.S. government official, that wouldn't happen either. Who was a close ally of President Ross? That would make sense.
That would make sense.
But what the fuck? Really?
Yeah. Like
you've effectively gutted the character.
Everything I remember about Sabra was Sabra, right? Sabra. Everything I remember about her, because she usually like showed up in X-Men comics, sometimes in Hulk, was that she was very loyal to Israel.
Yes.
And it was one of those like, if we're fighting out in the middle of the desert and somehow you cross the, you know, quote unquote Rubicon and end up in Israel, she's showing up. And whatever you were doing, you need to stop it right now, right? You know, kind of thing.
Put it on the other side of that line.
Yeah.
Over to Korea, or where the hell it is.
Yeah, you can go over there, but if you come in here, there's going to be, the hands are going to be thrown at that point. You know,
exactly.
But
so that, like I said, that to me is very frustrating.
I can see a situation where she would be an ally of Ross, you know, because governments talk to each other, you know, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, nah. Once again, they're trying to make things fit for my movie, you know.
Yeah, it very much frustrates me. Apparently, they're bringing back Isaiah Bradley because we need to drag that up again.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito is apparently in this, but they are not revealing who he is.
Oh, I know who he is. They already said who he is.
Who?
He's George Washington Briggs.
Really?
Yeah. Which is really kind of cool when you think about it.
Who?
Giancarlo Esposito, the scariest half Mexican, half black man you'll ever witness. That's kind of the hole he's been put into.
He was what's his name from
Breaking Bad.
He was in Breaking Bad. He was Augustus Fring.
He was also the lead.
Who's the character he's playing?
Oh,
G.W.
Bridge is a character that has appeared in a lot of X-Men comics.
And he's an agent of Shield. He's not like he's up in the higher echelon, but he's not like Nick Fury. You know,
he is
up there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's completely human and a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
he is a scary dude.
Somebody made a joke that that he just showed Giancarlo Esposito just showed up on set with guns, and they said just film it. There was no script to film this, you know.
so that I like. I like the idea of him as GW Bridge. It's a different look at GW Bridge because GW Bridge is usually a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he's like, and as far as ranking, I think he's only underneath Duggan in as
Shield,
far as rank.
Yeah.
In Shield, yeah.
He's one of Nick Fury's most trusted guys.
Yeah, he's in that.
If he is playing GW Bridge, Fury is going to show up in this.
Yes,
so,
which would be awesome. That part would be awesome.
Liv Tyler is coming back as Betty Ross. The bad guy is the leader, which is really weird to me. Because
wow, that took a long time to come around, didn't it?
Yeah, but my thing is that why are we doing Red Hulk and the leader? Because that's the big thing about the trailers. You see the Red Hulk at the end. Why are we doing Red?
With the best Unreal Engine 4 graphics you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Honestly, it didn't. I'm hoping that's like early thing because it did not look that great. He was like a big hot dog on screen, you know?
Yeah, basically. But why are we doing all this without the Hulk?
Right? Because how can you have Red Hulk without Hulk? You know, without Green Hulk? You know, like
it's one of those things to me where there's something really there, and this has been something that's been really off about the MCU for a long time. Is I really don't feel like they have a direction.
I don't think so. I don't believe so either. In all honesty, I think Kevin Feige just is phoning it in at this point. You know, because Kevin Feige, honestly, from everything I've heard, he wants to do Star Wars. Mm-hmm. He wants to move, like start doing stuff over there. Of course, that would mean that he would have to somehow supplant Kathleen Kennedy at this point.
Good luck with that.
Right, exactly. But from everything I've heard, that he really wants to do do Star Wars projects. And it's like you said, everything, whatever. Remember, was it Phase 4 when we started getting like Shang-Chi and Eternals and things like that?
4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, which was an unmitigated disaster, right? Like that was everything that's come out through that phase, except for a few things, which are those few things that were good, were left over Phase 3. You know, like like Spider-Man and things like that. Everything else is just like you said, it's just rando stuff. It's like, hey, let's do a movie about the Eternals. Okay, yeah. Why? You kind of blew your load. I think I mentioned before, you blew their load when the connection they could have had with Thanos, they just kind of, just mentioned him at the beginning of the movie and then never again, Yeah. But in fact, Eternals, honestly, that would have been a good in-between movie between Infinity War and Endgame, in all honesty. I mean, if they did it right, and not had
as shit did not.
Yeah, they didn't do it right at all. But I'm just saying that would have been the movie to fit in between because it would have made more sense. But anyway.
It's one of those weird things to me where I feel that they're making a lot of really silly decisions with the future of what they're doing, and this is kind of one of them because the more I look at this movie and the things that they're going to do with it, it's this just looks silly. It doesn't really look that interesting in regards to what they want to do.
Nothing
and
really
a lot
caught
of,
me either.
a lot
I
of
was
what
watching-
they've done. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like I'm not really a fan of the MCU, but I did like what I did see, like Iron Man, Iron Man 2, fucking Captain America, Winter Soldier. Those were at least they caught. I can understand why people liked them a lot, but this trailer really didn't catch anything for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the issue. It's like the Wolverine and Deadpool stuff is catching, but that's because you're effectively throwing the best of what you have to offer with those two characters at this film. You've
Well, it's
got-
passion project, right?
yeah, because Ryan Reynolds has wanted to do a Deadpool Wolverine film since he got cast in the original Deadpool. And he had been trying to make Deadpool happen for years prior to that.
Yeah.
It took somebody, wink, leaking out the CG test footage for an action scene for the movie to actually get made. So, like, that's something that, like, he and, like, Hugh Jackman is really excited to play Wolverine again. And I honestly feel like Hugh willing to come back at his age, because he's in his, like, mid to late 50s, willing to come back and play that character again. Even though people are saying, oh, you've topped it with all this. It's like, nah, fuck it. I still want to play him. He's fun. I feel like that opens the door for characters that we thought aren't going to keep playing their characters anymore to come back under the right circumstances and be themselves again. Because we'd all, like, I'd love to see Chris Evans back as Captain America. Nothing against Anthony Mackie. I like Anthony Mackie, but he's not Captain America. It's the same thing with Iron Man. Get this Ironheart bullshit out of here. Give me Tony Stark. And it's one of those things where I feel like that's the positive development. This film kind of feels like it's not really completely thought out. I feel like with the whole Sabra thing, they're like, I was reading on the Wikipedia page that, like, they said that Sabra was going to be in it, and people are freaking certain people that are from a certain nation that want to see a lot of Jews die were freaking out about it. Because how dare you? It's like we're at a point where this franchise needs a way forward. It needs an end goal. It needs something that you're building towards. And it seems like every time that they talk about what they're building towards, it sounds stupid. And a lot of these films are having trouble, like the issues of Blade, where apparently he was going to be like the third character in his own fucking movie. Like, it's one of those just weird things to me where it's like, guys, just make superhero stories. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. Yes, I understand there's a bunch of people that want certain political things. Fuck them. They don't buy movie tickets.
Nope.
Fuck them. You know what? We have a button for that. Hold on. Hitting the button.
Fuck them.
Okay. Let's move on to our final topic of the day. So, this is one of those kind of unfortunate things about doing an entertainment podcast. Is like all great things come to an end. And we had it always comes in threes. We had a trio of celebrity deaths. So from left to right, Shannen Doherty passed away. She had been battling cancer for years. And for those of you who don't know, she was known for her roles on Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. Of the cast of Charmed, she was the only sane one, apparently.
What do you say always in threes, Micah, in that little blurb, little title blurb?
Because
Power
it's true.
3.
There's a weird phenomenon.
Let Mike
There's a
explain.
I was going to say that I was gonna say that it's a reference to Charm. The power of three will set you free.
Well, no, okay. So there's this weird phenomena that happens where a celebrity will die, and then an unrelated celebrity will die, but then another unrelated celebrity will die, and usually within about a week. It's just a weird thing people notice, and it's easy to keep. It's one of those weird superstitions that persists because it's just.
Yeah, so it wasn't a Charmed reference, believe it or not. But
I'm just saying it could work as a Charmed reference.
it could, but yeah, that was not my intention. But regardless, so yeah, Shannen Doherty had passed away. Then, of course, Richard Simmons, who many people are going to know for obviously being a bit effeminate, to say the least.
Though.
Yeah,
He wasn't gay.
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing. Apparently, he wasn't gay.
Yeah, but the only person I ever saw him like make him sad was fucking David Letterman.
Yeah.
He'd go on David Letterman, and Letterman would say something that'll make him sad. And he's like, "Why are you being so mean, David?"
Yeah, he was again one of the nicest human beings apparently ever in the celebrity world. Just a nice guy, and he basically was just somebody who was chubby when he was younger, and then started getting into exercise and just encouraged other people to do it to live healthy. And the one thing that I admittedly respected about him is that he was one of those guys that he didn't talk about like you have to be. A lot of modern fitness people kind of emphasize you have to be ripped, you have to be this, you have to be that, right? He encouraged activity. You need to be healthy. You know, you might not necessarily look like the model. I got to do it. You might not look like the athlete of the day. Your belly might be a little bit big. Your hiney might be a little bit big, but you're bad, and they know you're bad. But a little bit of American dream. A little bit of the American dream. That's the road for you, daddy. But that was always what he promoted, and I feel like that's respectable because, you know, some people, you would be shocked at the body types that go into a doctor's office and leave with some of the best test results you've ever seen, and it's not because they're ripped; it's because they're just active. They take care of themselves. They don't overdo it on things. You know, they try to keep moving. They try to stay like healthy and ripped are different things. So, yeah. But the big one, and I hate to say it like that, but I think the one that like I think everybody kind of freaked out about was the loss of Shelley Duvall. For those who do not know Shelley Duvall, she was a pretty big movie star back during the 1980s. And a little bit in the 1990s. And what she is mostly known for is The Shining.
And yeah, that was... Oh my goodness, she got to work with one of the most absolutely autistic directors known to mankind.
Yeah.
Poor guy, the poor girl.
Work with Xavier?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Now, just to be fair, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, I would say this to his face. So
this is true. Apparently she put up with a lot of shit from Stanley Kubrick during that film. Because for those who don't know, Stanley Kubrick, like to say, he really is one of the most autistic fucking directors of all time. He is overly he's passed away some years ago, but overly detail oriented. And he should have been like, yeah, he definitely should have treated people better, but there's something really special about that film. Specific, because the fact of the matter is that Jack Nicholson's an amazing actor. Period. Point blank. There's like it'd be hard to not put him in top 10 of all time, right? I mean, he got to be the Joker and was just basically himself. But the absolute terror of Jack Nicholson's performance in that film is nothing without Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
There's like, because ultimately, whenever you have a horror villain, a slasher, you need something to play off of them and something to give you the reactions that you need to make you horrified. One criticism that I always have of slasher films is that some people tend to die in ways that look like something out of an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So,
like chop off their head and their head is still screaming.
yeah, little things like that. Like, or in the case of Jason, and I think it was Jason X beating a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
Yeah, and then wasn't there that one part where they the hologram girls were like, "Oh yeah, come over here, Jason," and then he just puts them in a bag. Is this the same deaths?
Yes, that's the same one. They're in sleeping bags, and he just starts. He hits one, like slams one of them into a tree, and then just uses the corpse to kill the other one.
Wait, you're saying he beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker?
Exactly.
Yes.
Like I wasn't kidding. He actually did it. But that's silly. You know, that's a very silly way to kill someone. The Shining didn't treat death like that.
No, it was very, very somber. Very horrifying. Just like suddenly characters there and then holy shit, they're fucking dead.
Yeah. It's one of those things where Kubrick was a special director. It goes without saying. And what actually gets my fucking goat, and whoever runs the Razzies, you're a fucking idiot. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They gave Shelley Duvall Worst Actress.
Wow.
For The Shining. Yeah. What the fuck? So yeah. Needless to say, it's always sad to see people go, but at the same time, the one thing that I've always tried to emphasize throughout years of doing this is the great thing about people that have contributed to the arts or to culture in general is they have given us something that will last for years beyond their life. And that, I think, is something to be celebrated, because you'll always be able to look back on that and smile, you know. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of people whose health improved thanks to Richard Simmons. Wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of people I know that were my age that have a lot of fond memories of Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. And then Shelley Duvall in The Shining, that film, gonna last forever. Absolutely incredible film. So, the best thing I feel like that can be done is, of course, condolences to the families of all these people, because death is never easy. We can all attest to that. But we can also say thank you, because I'm hoping that their families are proud of the memories that these people were able to create and the positivity that they were able to put into the world. I really feel like that's the beauty of getting to do that sort of thing. So, oh goodness. very I know I'm getting a little corny, but fuck it, it's worth it. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. And also, there was unfortunately his this kid's death. I say kid, he's a year older than I am. Who was a year older than I am, but the kid who played like the kid in Alf passed away too. And
Oh wow, that
yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, it was heat stroke, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was in because he lived in Arizona. I don't know how. That's why I like to be careful when I go out and do the things I do outside, especially in this heat. It's like okay, mornings and late afternoons. I ain't going out. I try not to go out at like midday because that's just asking for it at that point,
Especially in Arizona.
Yeah, I believe his name was Benji Gregory. And it's just sad that he was only 46 years old. And granted, he probably wasn't doing much acting anymore, but still,
Yeah, well, he had a family,
He had a family, and that's the thing, So and like I said, after somebody made a cold comment, which I think, come on, man. It was like, nobody paid attention to his death anymore because Richard Simmons passed. I'm like, come on, man. Don't do that. You know what I mean? If you want to remember him, then remember him. Then you might be the only one, but at least somebody remembered him. But it's it's sad when people have to people pass. And I know with Shelly Duvall, she had struggled with some mental illness through her life.
Yeah.
Some people try to blame it on The Shining. I just think she just had problems with mental illness. I don't think a movie caused her. Because the fact was that the movie, that movie was in the 70s, and she did movies all through the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So
Hell, she had a kids TV show in the 80s.
That I did not know.
Yeah, it's called Fairy Tales something. I'll go look it up real quick.
I know she played Olive Oyl in Popeye, which she did really good in that. In all honesty, the movie wasn't that great, but her and Robin Williams, I think, did good with their parts.
Oh yeah.
Fairy Tale Theater.
Fairy Tale Theater. Okay. And she was also in one of the best Hulk Hogan movies of all time, Suburban Commando.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I want to say thank you to everybody for watching this week's episode of On the Grind. If anything went wrong, blame Xavier because he's not here.
Yeah.
I know we will.
Exactly.
But needless to say, once again, if you haven't already, let people know about the show and that we're back doing this. We will definitely appreciate it, to say the least. And hopefully I don't think I was as grumpy as I thought I was going to be today, so that's always good. But
you did fine.
Hopefully my back will be feeling better next time as well, and I don't have to sit so awkwardly like I'm trying to pose at the end of that one Strong Bad video about being an anime protagonist. But again,
Right.
we appreciate all you guys for coming out, hanging out, listening to us, watching us, and just let people know where we're at here. On YouTube, on Spotify, we're basically anywhere right now that podcasts are. So we appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us. So don't forget to download us and take us with you everywhere. So for Wayne, for Serena, for Mike, and I guess for Xavier, because he didn't show up.
Wherever he is.
Wherever he is. We know where he is. We're just giving him shit. We appreciate you guys. Have yourselves a great week, and we will see you guys at the beginning of the next one. Take care.
Frick.